welcome to our vibe discussion. I know it sounds kind of boring, but I really have not come up with a name for it. And if you want to like drop a comment and tell me a name for our dance discussions, just let me know. But this is our third episode, second as a podcast. And I am so excited for this one because I have my queen next to me. But our first episode was about pivoting through COVID-19. The second episode was about pursuing what you love. And today is about the art of performance. The art of performance. And today we have with us, drum roll, Aisha Comissiong. Aisha, what's up, girl? You good?
I'm good.
How was your trip here today?
It was long, it was hot, and there's just way too much traffic on the road for a country as small as Barbados.
It's so true. Outside is so hot, but you know you're blessed. It's always true. So today, first of all, the conversation that I've had so far, we had at least one Rhythm Tribe member. We had Shay, Janae, Megghan for the first one, and then we had Jaleesa for the second one. And I was like, where is Aisha?
I'm actually following fashion with them. So like everybody showed up in their shirts and they were rapping out. So you know what? Let me dig out one.
And your aphrodisiac necklace.
Once you know culture by Janae times aphrodisiac.
Yes. So I was like, well, where is Aisha? We need to hear from the tribe queen, Aisha Comissiong, and I think that she is a performance queen. So that's why I said the art of performance is probably the best thing to talk about today. So Aisha, tell me about yourself. I already know. I already know that you are a fellow January born, Arizonian, extra.com. So just give us a background about you. And you could even relate it to, again, the art of performance and how your journey in performing has grown or changed or evolved from then to now.
Okay. Well, my name is Aisha, as Megghan stated. I'm a dancer, choreographer.
What's your stage name?
Was my stage
Everybody
name?
got a stage name. Aisha Deo, something like that.
Yeah, I guess Aisha Deo. That's so normal. Man, everybody calls me mom, and I feel like,
oh my god, I
feel like, you know, like how they got the auntie. Everybody talking about the aunties that's come and show up and show out. Yeah. I feel like that has now become my role. So I'm the mom who still has good knees every now and then, and who shows up and turns it out. Okay. That's how I feel.
That's fine.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. I never thought about it. But anyway, cool. Right, dancer, choreographer. Teacher, and I would like to think, you know, a creative director, somebody who comes up with concepts and executes, that kind of stuff I particularly enjoy doing. For as long as I knew myself and I knew dance, I knew that dance was what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be. It's always been something I've been really passionate about. And by passion, I mean in so much that I identify with dance, as in I don't see myself without dance. And if you have to take dance away from me, I feel like I would be extremely lost. And I had that moment when I had my knee injury, and I had almost like a little identity crisis, because it's like, who am I without dance? Mm-hmm. And I couldn't really pinpoint that at that time, but I've grown a lot since then.
Mm-hmm. And I feel as though for your injury as well, you could even put that in with performance. That's where you like go all out, and probably you went all in that performance. Or it was like something on concrete or something.
Girl,
it was a rehearsal.
It was a little it was Rhythm Tribe's first video shoot and photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And it was the simplest move you could possibly imagine. And I just heard my knee go pop, and I was on the ground. And I'd never had a knee injury before. So it was the strangest sensation. Anybody who was close to me actually heard it. Mm-hmm. And I actually have it on video. And I look back at it every now and then. But it's not a memory I like to relive. But it's just a reminder of how far I've come since then, because I remember trying to stand up and falling back down because I couldn't put any weight on my knee, and the rest had to carry me to the car, and I was convinced this was going to be a little hump in the road, and it turned out to be a lot greater than that. But I'm here. I'm still dancing, still working hard, but finding different ways to engage myself with the art. I always saw myself as being a performer. I think choreography is something that I kind of got pushed into and landed on my feet, if that's a weird thing to say. I never saw myself as a choreographer, though I always saw myself as a leader. And being a leader, naturally, I would take charge. I know y'all always call me Dance Bully from time to time back in the day.
DanceBully.com. For the time she got out her Jamaica pens getting pelt at you, books getting thrown at you, but it's fine. We like that tough love sometimes.
Exactly. You guys really turned up, showed up, and showed out, and I think the respect you guys have for me and vice versa, you guys never wanted to disappoint, and it showed in how you performed, and I think it was well worth it. That's all I'm gonna say.
For me, again, the reason why I asked you to speak about the art of performance is because being a member of Dance in Africa before, we had several choreographies from you, and they all told stories. They all advocated for Black supremacy, Black culture, and in the toughness of that, the toughness of going through that process, performance was always like ahead, like the peak of it. Even if you are a primary cast member, seen a secondary, a tertiary, even if
straight bean, I'm so sick of
even if you're like standing up throughout the entire performance, you had to perform. And I feel as though that would have singled you out from several different performances during the NIFCA period, because you paid so much attention to performance and theater.
Right. Well, I think I always say that I find I have developed this little niche in choreography where I exist, and that is I like to tell stories. I guess I would call myself a narrator choreographer, narrative. I like to tell narratives. I like to tell stories, but not just fantasy stories. I like
real life stories too.
As between Nina Simone and Alvin Ailey, they both said as an artist, your duty is to kind of put a mirror up to society and show people who they are and what's going on. And that really resonated with me as a person. My background growing up, my father being a Pan-Africanist, my mother being an African, and I found that the way to deal with those topics that we kind of like to tiptoe around, and that we're afraid to deal with face on, is to deal with it through the arts, because I find people can take the arts, and I find that it will touch you in ways that sometimes words can't. And so therefore, performing, when I'm working with dancers and I worked with you guys and working now, it, as much as technique is important, the story almost supersedes that. Because
guys, I just want to give y'all a background of how intense her choreographies are. Not outside of Red and Tribe. I know you guys would see Red and Tribe performing often, and the vibes and the energy, but Aisha also has a plethora of content that tells stories about Black lives. And to be a dancer and be in the process of, going through the choreography is a lot of crying, a lot of screaming, a lot of running. Like, it's like full on athlete shit. Sorry for cursing, but it's athlete things. And even her dad would come to the rehearsals and have full on conversations, leave books for us to read. And it was beyond just going to rehearsal and dance. And it really showed you the detail in how you can tap into performance by speaking about it, by understanding where the origin of these things come from, and so on. So let's just go into detail. I want to reel it back a little bit. Okay. So for the past 2 episodes, we had a few things to shake you up. The first one is a quote pull. So I have your quote right in front of you. I don't know if you saw it there. It's just me and you today. So normally the guys would just pull the quote out of the bag and we would talk about it. So your quote is there. You can read it out. And then after that, you can tell me how it makes you feel. It doesn't have to be about performance, but it could be about anything.
Okay. Dancing with your feet is one thing. Dancing with the heart is another.
Want to go again?
Dancing with your feet is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dancing with the heart is another.
Mm-hmm.
How does this make me feel?
Yeah.
For me, this is a reminder that no matter what, and I can't say what me, I actually makes me feel a little teary and emotional. Why? Because like it makes me think back to my injury. Mm-hmm. My injury makes me think. I'm reminded of myself before I was injured and how much I was able to do, but I'm also reminded after that it's not just about what I could do then, but it's also about what I can offer now. And I still have so much to give. Mm-hmm. And therefore, even if it's not always on my feet, I can always place my heart in the dance and showcase it through others.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Next segment. This is kind of like switching through the segments because it's just me and you, so we can do it really quickly. So this one is called This or That.
Okay.
So you would just choose like what you prefer. All right. So jumps or turns?
Jumps.
Again?
With caution now, but jumps.
Within the injury, jumps. Okay. Performance or rehearsals?
Performance for sure. Live to be on stage.
Same thing Jaleesa said. Same thing Jaleesa said.
Can't compete without feeling, man.
Okay. Jazz shoes or jazz sneakers?
Jazz sneakers.
Jazz sneakers. Why?
Because first of all, I ain't not doing no point flex dancing, no jazz sneakers. But I know when I put on my jazz sneakers, we about to get into some hip hop commercial something. So for that reason, even I don't know, dancehall is a little iffy in them jazz sneakers. I put them aside.
Okay, cool. Leotards are like a t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Really?
Definitely oversized t-shirt and short shorts.
Okay,
Megan.
fine. It's
that is you could get any groove in that, man.
Okay. Warm up or cool down? This is in a class.
Warm
setting.
up.
Warm up.
Warm up.
Okay.
I love a warm up.
I think everybody chose the cool down.
What?
Yeah, because they like to just like feel. This is a big one. Bar work or going locomotive movements across the floor.
Across the floor. Who wants to be at the bar?
You know, Lana said she loves bar work. Lana Seeley said she loves to be on the bar. She loves to work on her technique.
Lana, we gotta talk about this.
Lana loves the bar work. Dancing in front of a mirror or without a mirror?
Dancing with a mirror.
With a mirror?
With
the Caco has a mirror?
We don't, but let me tell you, they have a very slim mirror that's placed in the center of
and you're standing in front of it.
Myself and Orain, we position ourselves, we split, we like, you can see, I can see, cool. And we watch ourselves in the mirror. We're the only two people that used to do that.
Oh my God, that's horrible. All right, next one. A performance where you have a solo, duet, or a group. What do you prefer, solo, duet, or group?
I prefer group pieces.
No, as a performer, not
me
as a choreographer.
Yeah. I prefer to dance with a group now, but probably before I would have loved to take that solo duet moment. But now I love to feel the energy of everybody around me.
If I can remember the answers, I believe Shay said he loves duets as a dancer, but as a choreographer, he loves groups. And because, you know, he likes to see the process of beginning to end. He likes to see how the group has changed and stuff like that. So,
well, I mean, I think with group work, there are a lot more intricate and interesting details and dynamics you could plug into. But honestly, some of us, you know, you like to show up and show out sometimes. And therefore, having that space in a solo or duet work, I could see why some people would lean towards that.
Okay, cool. Ballet or dancehall?
Why is this even a question? You can just ask this question off the whole thing because I'm sure everybody dancehall.
Yeah. Fine, we know. What's your favorite dance move?
What is my favorite dance
I could tell you. She just do this thing where it is like a helicopter and split.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That used to be my go-to.
She do that everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Or you know what? I like to do a pitch too.
A
I like to do
pitch.
pitches.
But no, I can tell you what it is the headstand into like the jumping into the headstand thing.
She go. I know. Use my knees for that. On my head. I do not have to use my knees for that.
I know. Cool. All right, the last segment. All right, slipping a little segment. So we can ask, what's in your dance bag? What's the basic things in your dance bag? What do you need in your dance bag?
In my dance bag, well, for one, you have to know that I have a knee brace. Actually, I have several.
I was about to say
several. I have a collection.
When I had my knee injury, you was like, Megghan, I got so much knee braces. Was that
I have a collection of knee braces and a knee pad.
You should just come out the whole lane.
future, brown too, because then I could wear it on stage, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
I always have a tennis ball because I find it helps with warming my muscles up quickly versus if I had a long time, I could take my time. And I have a foam roller, but I would always lean towards a tennis ball because I find a tennis ball could get into the muscles a lot deeper because of the size. I always have a heat rub, extra hot, because I find a lot of times we have to warm up quickly, especially backstage at soca shows and that kind of stuff where we don't have the space or the time to get ready. The heat rub will help accelerate that process. Water. I always have a pair of extra tights and an extra t-shirt because you just never know.
What is your guilty pleasure? Like guilty pleasure in your bag? Because Shay got your fat, we know that. What's your guilty pleasure in your dance bag? That you probably sneak out the dance studio and use and sneak back in because you want nobody to see you guys.
Right now, currently, it's the M&M's Rice Krispie treats.
Whoa. M&M's and Rice Krispies together?
Right, they're so good. And I do not mean the small one. I'm going to buy the extra long one and I'm having it all to myself.
I get you, girl. I don't get you because I've never had that before, but I feel you.
We need to sort that out.
What's your must-have in your dance bag? Like a must-have. Any, like, if you switch dance bags, you have to, like, switch it and put it into the next bag. Like, what's your must-have in your bag?
At this point, currently more than lately, my knee braces.
Oh, your knee braces. Okay.
Those are my dance bags, my gym bag.
Everywhere.
My car, I have one in the car that just stays in the car.
Okay.
So I just never know.
Wow. Okay, so, in Barbados, we don't have the access to dance materials as we should. Whether it be we have to go online on Discount Dance and order leotards, or if it's the case where we wanted to build a dance studio, we have to look overseas to look for good flooring, or just like basic dance stuff. What is that one thing that if we had access to, or if we could afford it? Because there's trillions of dollars, not trillions, but a lot of money. What would it be?
What would it be? What would I like it to be?
Yeah.
I would honestly like affordable dancewear. Affordable and accessible, a variety of options of dancewear, and that's from attire to shoes to costuming. So that it's easy, because I've had to buy several costumes off of not Discount Dance, but I think dancewear.com, and they were ridiculously cheap. We've had them for 3 years now, and they're still in fantastic condition. And if we were able to do that, we'd be able to switch up our costuming a lot more for our performances instead of having to recycle all the time. I mean, would love a floor, mirror, all those things, but the accessible dancewear, costuming, shoes.
Cool. Love that. Okay, so before we get into like the meat of the matter right now, I want to talk about COVID a little bit. I want to talk about how you pivoted, because you weren't there for that series, but we had so much content. Like, we could have just talked for like 2 hours, but I wanted to hear from you. I know it's a lot of ups and downs during that time. Brennan Trey would have had the Instagram lives. You probably did private classes. How did it affect you personally, mentally, and then the group, and then you as a dancer, and how has it opened up your mind to dance internationally? Because at that point, we literally could have watched Paris Global's dance class like in the comfort of our home. That's something that you would have to travel like miles to see. So how has COVID treated you during that time?
I found COVID, the lockdown, everything slowed down, and I also slowed down with it. And I think I was at a point in my life where I was about to try and pick up everything and get going. So it really hit me hard, because being somebody who is always active, being stuck at home, and I'm active on the road, being stuck at home, I didn't really have much motivation, honestly, to get moving, to do anything. Yeah, it was great to have all those classes, but I spent most of the time watching them. And not necessarily engaging. And exactly, I spent a lot of time watching them. And though it was exciting to have the time to do, the small TikTok videos and the little classes and so on, I don't think anything honestly can compare to a live experience. And so I tried Paris's class. I did it on YouTube and whatever, but I'm outside on my balcony. My shoes are slipping a bit. I don't have enough space. I don't have a mirror. I did not particularly enjoy it. And as soon as we got the opportunity to open back up, I enjoyed engaging with everybody again face to face in a space. For the group, the IG live classes were well received, and I liked that. It certainly did give us a lot more exposure now that everybody had stopped doing everything else that they were doing, and they had the time to engage with us. But I do look forward to going back to live classes. So,
okay, cool. Okay. I was just thinking of anything else I wanted to ask post COVID. Oh yes, the last question of those questions was do you see the online platform as something that you would go forward to, or just go back to what you used to do before, or make it more digital? Like, what do you think?
I definitely think it has its advantages. Like you said, we were able to access dancers and performances that we probably never thought we would be able to see live in our lifetime. So I definitely think there's an advantage to doing a hybrid. I do think we may lose out on some travel opportunities, and by we, I mean dancers generally and artists generally, because now people have found very creative ways to use the online platform to, have their classes and performances, and therefore a big part of being a performing artist is using your talent to explore the world.
I feel as a true performer or a true choreographer or teacher, they're not going to go online. They're going to put out, if they had the opportunity to go back to normal, they would do it.
Yeah, but I do think I do see people currently engaging in that hybrid, where they do have online, but you can come into studio. How long will it last? I don't know, but reality is we're really seeing that we're going to be living with this thing for a while. And I think once it really becomes a new normal, we're probably just going to embrace it, and things will go back to how they were with the COVID precautions.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's take a break. We could just sip some water, come back to you, and then we'll get back to, what we're here to talk about, which is the art of performance. Cool. Okay, guys. So we're back. We just had a little water. She was asking me if this is alcohol.
What? It's after midday. We can partake.
It's water. For the time I'm walking here, they're just like, so we drinking alcohol today? And no, it's
I'm not
water.
opposed. I'm not opposed to it.
So yes, the art of performance. No, in Barbados, well, in the Caribbean, I feel as though we are natural performers. The way how we speak, the way how we express ourselves, the Black diaspora, everybody is just like very like I'm showing you. Even is a movement, like you move when you talk, is just part of who we are as a people. And I think it comes across, like your point only comes across when you perform. You get what I'm saying? So I could say like somebody asked me, how am I? I can like, I'm fine. But then if I say, and performance doesn't have to be like overdue, but if I say, oh, I just had and then I add movement to it, right? Then you like, all right, girl, I get you, right? So you got the point. So performance. First of all, tell me can you define performance to me, for you, like what you think performance is?
Performance, dancing or just performance?
Dancing for sure.
I think performance is embodying a role. I think it's stepping outside of yourself, becoming who you need to be to step onto the stage. I feel like rarely ever do we take ourselves onto the stage. So you're acting, you're putting on a face, tapping into a new persona, and the goal of that persona is to get whatever message the choreographer has asked of you across to the audience.
Do you think you perform outside of the stage, like code switching or anything like that? Like, in terms of you coming in here, this is very new space to you. You might feel a little uncomfortable or scared, or actually, you're fine. Do you think you had to put on like an unconscious mask on to come into the space?
No, but you mentioned code switching, and I mean, if we're going to be real and we talk about Barbados, I would find in certain spaces in Barbados there is a more conscious effort to present yourself, and it could still be a part of yourself, but it's a part of yourself that operates within certain spaces. Okay. So
cool. So tips and tricks in performance. So we love to see Red Tribe on stage. Can you tell us your tips and tricks to getting that energy? We realize you guys are like the party starters. What's the tips and tricks? The makeup tricks, the everything tricks. What do you do to like just have that energy on stage?
Man, I think we're fortunate to have started out as a group of friends, really and truly. And there've been people who've been in and there are people who've been out. But at the core of it, we have a group of friends who party together outside of work, vibe together, chill together. So when we go on stage, we naturally have that together energy, that togetherness. One thing I find is that based on the way I choreograph, and a lot of them have been seasoned in the way I choreograph, there's also an aesthetic that they all have, which makes it easier as well to give off this illusion of being super together and sharp and energy. But I think for us, because we also love to live, eat, sleep, breathe performing, because sometimes in rehearsal, they don't give 100, but when you come on stage, it's like, why did I not get that one? I didn't know this was going to come at me, but okay, yes, go live your best life on stage.
I feel for me as a dancer and dancing with Red Tribe guys and stuff like that, other people, is this thing where we always have a choreography, at least a 32 count, and we could put it to any song. So that's a trick. I think that's a tip and a trick. So these people might think, how didn't get all these, like, how didn't just get a whole thing together?
Recycle boss. I don't think anybody can touch me. I've given myself the hat, the jacket, and the pant. Recycle boss. And I have been told that from numerous circles, because I can always find a way to repurpose and upcycle and recycle something that I did 3 years ago to something today and match it perfectly. It just happens, and I'm glad that I'm able to do that, because I don't think people understand how much it takes to just even come up with 10 seconds of choreography. That could happen about 32 movements.
Yes.
Right? And then your dancers will have to remember that new string of movements or that new sequence for performance in like 2 days. It's not really fair. Practical. So, and practical, you're right. So it helps to be able to pull from the reservoirs, and it's always in your muscle
memory as well. So you could just say, do something from Sugar Rush, like do that 8 count at the top from Sugar Rush, and put it into That's How We Live My Life with my key, and it is the same rhythm, same BPM, so you could just put it in.
Actually, we even have this saying that there's some staunch signature choreographies that we have that we're like, if you don't know those, are you really going to try it? Because you probably really aren't if you haven't done these at least 5 different songs.
Right, I get you. I can feel that. I have that experience before. Okay, so as we were talking about COVID before, I'm realizing that a lot of choreographers internationally have been going into video directing. And that's another level of performance that is a whole different technique. So in terms of understanding your camera angles, dancing for the camera, being able to show the perspective on a personal level is very different. And I'm realizing that we're seeing it all around the world, and dance is really being appreciated in that way. Do you prefer video over in-person performance?
Definitely. And
Video?
and I was like, yeah, definitely I prefer video to in person. Although they both have their pros and cons, because there's nothing like feeling a performance live right there. And for that reason too, I prefer smaller, more intimate spaces, depending on the work that's being done, because you could really engage and feel the energy of the dancers. But the thing about video is the perfectionist in me, and I'm not really a perfectionist, but I do like to get things as best as I can. I'm able to manipulate and edit and get exactly what I want. I can also get the emotions that I want just by changing a camera angle, the vibe that I want, the feeling that I want, telling the exact story that I want, and I can edit that. Versus a performance, when it happens, whatever happens is what happens, and that's exactly what you get. So I like having that kind of control.
Can we segue a little bit into your last work with the documentary on Black Lives Matter, and just give us a little like review, overview, in view. Detail is at least 45 minutes of work, which is very, very hard to produce. Probably like months of preparing and creating. So can you give our audience background of what it is? Using dance and interviews and everything all together to make a body of work, and what inspired you to do it as well?
The I Can't Breathe dance film, that's what I was calling it from the beginning, is kind of a follow-on to a piece I did entitled Black Lives Matter back in 2015. Why did we do it? I felt like it was important to add our voice to the conversation that was happening in Barbados about why the Black Lives Matter movement was relevant. That was the biggest part about it. But for me, it started out as something relatively small. I just told the dancers I want to do something with stark imagery that would touch people, reach home, really get people thinking.
This is after Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah, this year. This is for I Can't Breathe. So it started out, with a one rehearsal. We might only need one shoot day. And I'm like, all right, guys, we got to come back again. I got another idea. All right, guys, we need a third. And it kept snowballing like that. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't 100% sure the direction in which it was going at first until we were finished with all the parts. And I said, okay, now I can see what I was probably thinking. Now I have everything together. How do I piece the puzzle together? The interviews that were only supposed to be, 1 minute commentary to promote the video, when we got to speak to persons such as Gabby, our cultural ambassador, my father, David Comissiong, Pan-Africanist social activist, Eddie Grant, international artist, and I could go on, Bobby Clark, social activist. When they drop those gems on us,
and they're so passionate about it as well.
And they drop gems on us in a Barbadian context. That is important because we are hearing about the American context. We're seeing the American context. We go to school, we learn about it in a sort of Caribbean context, but not even so much. We deal a lot more with world history. So to hear about it live and direct in a Barbadian context where you have real life examples. Trevor Marshall, how could I forget?
Our historian, one of the best on earth.
Marshallian theory is what I can call it, right?
Yes.
It was so important to get those messages out there that by the time we looked around, it was like, okay, this is a full production now. We owe it to ourselves and to the persons that we interviewed to do it in that manner, to honor them in that manner. And even hearing how the dancers spoke and how they felt about it afterwards, it was also important to hear their voices and how they felt. And even, for some of them that they feel like they haven't done enough research. There's so much more that needs to be done. And this is the swinging of the engine for them to get going. Can
I ask another question? I know your father is a huge inspiration by the body of work that you create, but why do you choose to always send a message of Black excellence with your choreographies?
Why is it important to send a message of Black excellence? Because I think,
and it's also a different perspective too. Is from the outlook of this is how we are treated and this is how we should be treated. You understand what I mean?
But I mean, for far too long, and I mean, it still happens today, the notion keeps being perpetuated that we're not enough. And I feel like we constantly strive to be somebody else when there's so much worth within who we are and the contributions that we have made as a race. And it's important, I think, especially in Barbados, to get that message across, because I feel like we have examples and role models, but I feel like the way our society functions and the fibers that have been ingrained in our society that kind of make us think, well, that is too Black, let me not go that direction. I think,
all right, maybe a way, a subject that is not cool, that is what cool enough, but because you use dance as a form of education,
if it's cool enough or if it's taboo.
Yeah,
it makes people uncomfortable.
Yes.
And we have to get comfortable with where we came from in order to go forward. And where we came from didn't just start from slavery. So it's important to know that Black excellence was before slavery. Black excellence was also coming out of slavery. Black excellence was fighting for freedom. Black excellence was understanding that we are humans and we deserve equal human rights, that kind of stuff. And it's important that we understand that and value our heritage and who we're coming from, and not try to hide. Beryl McBurney, dance pioneer in Trinidad, said, to paraphrase it because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but we should be proud of the cotton that we came from. Just because it isn't gold and silver doesn't mean we shouldn't be proud of it. True. There's value in where we're coming from, and that really hit home. We as a people need to be proud of everywhere we came from.
And how do you think the content that you've produced has been received from persons who are not in the culture industry? Because I find that you have used social media like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube to produce content that you probably would see on the NIFCA stage, and you wouldn't see like our generation X or Y or Z seeing this content. How do you think they've received or consumed that?
I think that we're in a fortunate place right now where our generation, Adam, I just said, there seems to be a time period where people seem to have been asleep. And I find our generation is kind of picking back up the mantle of those maybe 2 generations before. And I think now couldn't have been a more perfect time to engage in the kind of art that I do, because people are really receiving it with open arms. And they're appreciating the stories and lessons and the knowledge that we're trying to impart in what I term dance edutainment. Other people might call it that, but I don't know. But dance edutainment is particularly what I enjoy doing. And I think because we now have a generation who is yearning and keen on, exploring and putting forward who we are, they're more open and willing to receive the message. So they're no longer hiding, and they're open to receive the messages that we're trying to put out there.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get a little deeper into performance. There are a lot of people out there that are extremely naturally talented, and there are others that have worked on their technique and have trained for hours and days, but they just don't have that thing called a performer. What makes a performer? What do you think makes a performer? Because sometimes there's somebody that they're like might just do, but you feel it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And then there are other people that kick the leg all up there.
People who would dance for years and they won't necessarily touch somebody in the way that someone else who may have danced for a shorter period of time, who may not even be as technically capable, can do. I think being a performer has to do with being vulnerable. Has to do with being vulnerable and being open to letting other people in.
Remember that though. Being a performer means you're vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to be prepared to bare your soul on stage. And not everybody's willing to do that because it calls for a lot. I mean, I, for one, can tell you I've cried on stage before.
Of course.
Because I had to get in, to tap into that part to really feel as if I was giving what I was supposed to give. And I feel like if you're not willing to go that far to give the audience the story, to give the to tell the choreographer's story, but to do justice to yourself and your role, then I don't want to say I wouldn't call you a performer, but you're kind of stopping short of what a performer really is.
What types of feelings or things that go on your head mentally for a dramatic Black Lives Matter piece, be it versus a rhythm trade, like ha 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 ha, trim body boxy kind of thing? What mindset do you put yourself in those?
Usually I can either tap into the history of what I'm doing, but otherwise, for an emotional piece, sometimes I find it easier to tap into my personal experiences where the emotions might mimic the same thing that I need to perform. Usually I might think about the loss of my grandfather or a heartbreak that really mashed me up. Versus, I think, on a commercial stage, I think for me personally, performing on a commercial stage, I don't think I can necessarily have to tap into anything.
It just comes out.
You just enjoy that so much that, and I think for you, between yourself, myself, naturally on a regular day, we perform when we talk, when we're dealing with people, when we, so it's all you just being yourself on stage, and that's what people love. People sometimes don't even necessarily see the moves. They would just come and say, I enjoyed watching you because you were having the time of your life, and that would stop them from watching somebody else who might be hitting it a little sharper, getting their legs a little higher, because you are just living literally your best life on stage. And dance is a visceral experience. It's something you can't get back. You're living in the moment. So,
what's your favorite performance of all time? I could tell you mine.
Well, let's hear yours. Mine is your favorite
is actually your choreography, mirror image. Yes, and it's because it was different things going on. You had just come back from Jamaica and you was going through this thing, I don't know, and you went through the thing and we went through it with you.
True.
And I think that performance, the meaning of the dance really, it was about, looking at your mirror image and loving yourself. And at that time, it was probably like only 16 or 17, 18. And your experience as a young lady probably would be different than mine. But it was something that was shared. And we got the chance to express it in a different way. And that time, I could personally say that I was going through a real hard time in my life. And that dance got me through it. But for you, I guess yours was a different experience for why it got you through it. But first, it was like my first experience, the Aisha experience, going through choreography, learning, mirroring the choreography, because I think you did it for your
exam, yeah.
Right, exam, and we use that content from there, and then you add on some stuff, and Jessica help and stuff like that. So it was definitely one of my most memorable performances. And I love an African piece, so anything that got little drums. I can't remember what was my best African performance, or anything that got drums was my best. So yeah, anything that I could definitely pour my soul out to, even the Black Lives Matter performance. Anything that
was top tier.
Yeah, that was
all really.
And sometimes
on that.
I find, again, like what you were saying, spaces that are more intimate are better, because every time you perform in front of Common Hall, I feel Common Mirror is a little better. So it's better to me.
No, I prefer Frank Common Hall.
Or even, I would choose Frank Common Hall.
It's because I could stare somebody dead in their eyes, and they have to feel what I'm feeling.
Or I should say,
if you can't break that fourth wall in Frank Common Hall, then you're not doing anything.
Or I should say, gala stage is not a Frank Common Hall stage. As in, you don't connect with anybody on the gala stage. So when you say the best of NIFCA, you really don't get to see the actual best because it's so disconnected. But when you could look somebody in the eye and tell that story without speaking, which dancers incredibly do through movement, I feel as though that is always good. You know what I mean? So what's your best performance?
I don't know about my best, but my favorite performance in Barbados, I would say, would be Keisha Darge's Reconnections. Keisha Darge from Dance Africa.
Oh, Reconnections! Yes.
Reconnections. I particularly enjoyed
Love that
performing it emotionally.
Physically, oh my God.
Well, I wasn't in the same section as you were.
MG.
But executing it has, you see those feel good moments in the dance.
Got time to breathe.
You could feel I'm not even talking about the breathing. Because the last time I performed, it was at Frank Colma Hall last year, December. And I did not have any breathe moments. Mm-hmm. I had to play, I think, 2 roles. And I therefore came off stage for maybe all of 16. I won't say so much. But
in Frank Colma Hall, which is freezing. But
I thoroughly enjoy performing.
Yeah, I love Reconnections.
That dance because the mix between the Caribbean and the modern and the African, it just sits so right in our Caribbean dancing, black dancing body that you can't help but enjoy it even though you're dying. You're dying.
And you're telling a story at the same time too.
Yeah. And in Jamaica, my favorite piece, everybody knows it, it's called Chat About Them. It's a Black Power piece by Dr. Lantonette Steins from Lacadico, artistic director of Lacadico. And because it preaches Black Power and it's a bit of a theatrical / dance piece, but I just be feeling myself in that, and I'm like, y'all hear all the things Black people have done, y'all put some respect on our race. That's how I feel about it. Awesome. And I will do that dance any single day.
And it's just in your muscle memory too.
Oh, you mean it.
You haven't been to Jamaica, but if you go by, you would definitely remember it.
Hello. And she needs to put me back in my exact role.
Okay, so cool. I think this is the end. I think this is good. This is a good chat. You know. Anything you want to ask me as a performer? Anything you want to dissect?
What goes through Megghan Michael's head when she's performing?
Honestly, nothing. It's like somebody hit me in my hand and I wake up and just like, what did you do this? Because you know sometimes I just do bear.
The solo queen within a group. That Megghan will make everybody look like they're doing the wrong thing when she is the only person doing the wrong thing and they are right.
It's true.
That is Megghan.
It's true, but you know, life. So yeah, that's the end of this discussion. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're really good. We love discussing about the art performance. What do you think we should talk about next?
Dance related?
Everything is dance related. Every single thing we talk about is dance related.
We've spoken about men in dance in Barbados.
Ooh, actually, we have that next week.
That taboo topic. Wait, look. I feel like you're Raven now. Watch me. See into the future.
So look up for that. Men, there are a few guys coming next week. Yeah, all guys coming next week. So I'm looking out for that. Yay. So thank you, guys. See you next week. Look out for guys in dance, everything. Men, we don't really get to see men dance and our men expressing themselves physically. So we pivoted. We talk about what we're pursuing, what we love, and then today we're talking about the art performance. And next episode is about men in dance. See you guys. Bye.